The sun had not yet risen, but Los Angeles was awake. It is a city that never truly sleeps. It only holds its breath. From the high hills, the landscape stretched out like a sleeping giant. A blanket of lights pulsed softly below. They flickered in the cool, pre-dawn air. The great sprawl of it all was immense. It was a sea of human endeavor, bordered by dark, silent mountains on one side and the vast, whispering Pacific on the other. This is a place of incredible scale, a place where nature and concrete are locked in a slow, ancient dance. A wind borne far out over the ocean made its journey inland. It moved through the canyons of the Santa Monica Mountains. It rustled the leaves of ancient oak trees and dry chaparral. Then, it descended into the basin. It carried the scent of salt and sage, mixing with the faint metallic hum of the metropolis. This wind has seen everything. It has carried stories for generations. It moves without judgment through glass towers and over-cracked pavement. It is a silent observer of the city's ceaseless rhythm, a constant presence in a world of constant change. Down in the basin, the freeways were already beginning to stir. They were like great arteries, glowing with the first signs of life. Headlights cut through the lingering darkness, moving in steady, determined streams. The sound was a low, distant roar. It was the sound of a heart beginning to beat faster. Each light represented a life, a destination, a purpose. The sheer number of them was overwhelming. This city is a collection of countless individual journeys, all woven together into a single complex tapestry of motion and ambition. But in the quiet spaces between the noise, another life existed. In the shadows of the overpasses and along the forgotten edges of parks, there were stillness and silence. Here, the city's grand narrative seemed to pause. The wind would find its way into these pockets, whispering secrets that the daylight often ignored. It was in these quiet corners, under the vast and indifferent sky, that the city's other stories were waiting. They were stories of survival, of loss, and of a resilience that was as old as the hills themselves. If you want to follow more stories from the heart of Los Angeles and explore the realities behind the headlines, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring these important stories to light. As the first light touched the highest peaks, it began to spill down into the urban valleys. The world was painted in shades of gray and soft lavender. Along the wide boulevards, rows of palm trees stood like silent sentinels. Their fronds shivered in the morning breeze. They are not native to this land, but they have become its most iconic symbols. They watch over a landscape that is constantly remaking itself. Beneath them, the city's daily drama was beginning to unfold, a quiet and often unseen performance. Tents appeared like strange, colorful mushrooms sprouting from the concrete. They lined the sidewalks, clustered under bridges, and occupied the narrow strips of grass beside the roaring freeways. Each one was a small, fragile fortress, a private world in a very public space. They were built from whatever could be found: tarps, blankets, and pieces of discarded plastic. These structures were a testament to human ingenuity in the face of immense hardship. They spoke of a deep, instinctual need for shelter, for a place to call one's own, no matter how temporary. From some tents, there was no sound. An unnerving stillness hung in the air. From others, a cough or a quiet murmur could be heard. The inhabitants were shadows in these early hours. They were figures moving slowly, wrapped in layers against the chill that lingers before the sun's warmth arrives. They are the city's ghosts, visible but so often unseen. Their presence is a constant, quiet question posed to the bustling world around them. A question about what it means to have a home and what happens when that is lost. The city moved around them like a river flowing around stones. Cars rushed past, their occupants sealed within their own worlds of music and morning news. Pedestrians on their way to work would sometimes cast a quick, downward glance, their pace quickening. It was a dance of avoidance, a collective turning away. The contrast was stark, the incredible speed and wealth of one world set against the profound stillness and poverty of another. They existed side by side, separated by an invisible wall of circumstance and fortune. The Los Angeles River is not a river in the traditional sense. It is mostly a concrete channel, a massive scar designed to control the wild waters that once flowed here. In the early morning, the light catches the shallow trickle of water that runs along its base. It glimmers, a thin ribbon of life in a gray, man-made desert. The high-angled walls are covered in graffiti, a vibrant and chaotic language of its own. This place feels like a ruin from a future civilization, a monument to the battle between human engineering and the persistence of nature. Along the river's desolate banks, life has taken root. Makeshift encampments clung to the dusty ledges and flat spaces just above the waterline. These were precarious homes, exposed to the elements and the ever-present risk of a sudden storm. Yet people lived here. They had created a community in one of the city's most forgotten places. The sound of the distant freeway was a constant companion, a dull roar that never ceased. But here, by the water, there was also the sound of birds and the gentle rustle of weeds growing through cracks in the concrete. One can see the small details of life. A solitary chair placed to face the rising sun, a line of clothes drying in the breeze, a small, carefully tended patch of dirt where something green was attempting to grow. These were acts of profound hope. They were assertions of dignity in a place that offered very little. They showed a desire not just to survive, but to live, to create beauty and order amidst the chaos. Each carefully placed object was a small victory against the overwhelming tide of neglect. Danger was a constant presence. The river itself was a threat, capable of becoming a raging torrent with little warning. But there were other, less visible dangers that lurked here. The isolation of the riverbed made its inhabitants vulnerable. It was a place on the edge, both geographically and socially, a place where the rules of the city above seemed not to apply. Walking here, one could feel the weight of that vulnerability. It was a tension in the air, a sense of being watched from the shadows. There is a new predator in this urban ecosystem. It's silent and invisible. It moves through the city like a poison, leaving devastation in its wake. Folks call it fentanyl. It's a ghost that haunts the streets, the encampments, and even the quiet suburban homes. Its power is immense, and its grip is relentless. It preys on despair, on loneliness, on that simple human desire to escape pain. It promises a moment of peace, but delivers a sentence of an entirely different kind. In the encampments, its presence is felt most acutely. It creates a stillness that's different from sleep, a deep, unnatural quiet that can fall over a person or a group. You see people frozen in strange, bent postures, like statues captured mid-motion. Their heads are bowed, their bodies limp. They're lost in a world far from the concrete and the noise. The drug isolates them, pulling them away from the world of the living, even as they still breathe among us. It's a slow, methodical erasure of the self. The signs of its passage are everywhere. if you know where to look. Small, scorched pieces of foil that glitter on the ground like discarded jewels. The sight of someone administering aid to a fallen stranger, a desperate act of revival in the middle of a busy sidewalk. These are the front lines of a quiet, desperate war. A war fought not with weapons, but with naloxone and compassion. It's a battle for breath, for a chance to see another sunrise. This substance has changed the very nature of survival on the streets. It's added a layer of deadly risk to an already precarious existence. The community that exists among the unhoused is frayed by it. Trust becomes a luxury. Every interaction is shadowed by the possibility of overdose. The drug creates a landscape of fear and suspicion, turning potential allies into sources of danger. It's a force that unravels the delicate social fabric that people work so hard to weave in the face of adversity. As the sun climbs higher, the city fully awakens. The light becomes sharp and clear. It erases the soft ambiguity of the dawn. The shadows retreat, but they don't disappear. They just become darker, more defined. The full scope of the city is now visible. The endless grid of streets, the distant shimmer of the ocean, the towering wall of the San Gabriel Mountains. It's a landscape of breathtaking beauty and stark, unavoidable truths. The city shows its face, and it's a face of deep and powerful contradictions. Life in the encampments changes with the light. The stillness of the night gives way to the slow, deliberate movements of the morning. People emerge from their tents, blinking in the strengthening sun. There's the ritual of a morning cigarette, the sharing of a bit of food, the quiet conversation. These are the rhythms of a community waking up. There's a resilience here that's as powerful as the sun's rays. It's the simple, profound act of choosing to face another day. One can observe small acts of kindness, a woman sharing her water with a neighbor, a man helping another to patch a hole in his tent. These aren't grand gestures. They're the small, essential threads that hold a community together. In a world that has largely forgotten them, they have not forgotten each other. This is a different kind of wealth. It's a currency of empathy and mutual support, traded freely among those who have little else to give. But the city's machinery is now in full motion. Street cleaning trucks begin their routes. The sounds of commerce grow louder. The world of schedules and appointments reasserts its dominance. The unhoused must navigate this world carefully. They must become invisible again, or risk being moved along, their fragile homes dismantled. The day brings with it the warmth of the sun, but also the relentless pressure of a city that has little space for those who can't keep pace. As dusk begins to settle, the light softens once more. The city is bathed in a warm, golden glow. It's a time of day that photographers call the golden hour. It makes everything beautiful. The glass towers of downtown become pillars of fire. The palm trees become stark, elegant silhouettes against a sky of orange and pink. Even the concrete channels of the river and the weathered surfaces of the tents are touched by this fleeting democratic beauty. For a moment, the entire landscape is unified in light. This city is a place of endless stories. Many are lost, whispered on the wind or washed away by the rain, but some endure. They're carved into the landscape itself, in the resilience of a plant growing through a crack in the pavement, in the defiant art that covers the walls, in the eyes of a person who has seen unimaginable hardship but still finds a reason to look towards the sunrise. These stories are the city's true soul. They speak of a capacity for survival that is nothing short of miraculous. What is the future of this place? It's impossible to say. The challenges are immense, like the mountains that frame the basin. The shadows of addiction and poverty are long and deep. Yet, there's a stubborn hope that lingers here, like the last light of day on the horizon. It's found in the volunteers who walk these streets, offering food and a kind word. It's found in the quiet dignity of those who refuse to be broken. It's a hope that is not naive, but hardened and tested by reality. The final light fades, the city transforms again, becoming a galaxy of artificial stars. The wind continues its journey, carrying the sounds of the night, the distant sirens, the hum of the freeways, the vast silence of the ocean. Los Angeles holds its breath once more, waiting for the dawn. It's a city of immense sorrow and incredible strength, a living, breathing entity forever caught between its dazzling dreams and its difficult truths. And in that space between, life, in all its fragile and ferocious forms, endures,